Bambiz presents Elder Law Growth, the podcast where we share what's actually working in elder law and estate planning marketing straight from the team behind it. Let's get to it.
Welcome back to the Elder Law Growth podcast presented by Bambiz, the team that helps elder law and estate planning attorneys grow their firms, build their workshops, and connect with their communities using marketing that actually works. Learn more at bambiz.net. I'm Jason, and today I'm joined by Shannon Miller. Shannon is a board-certified elder law attorney, founder of the Miller Elder Law Firm in Gainesville, Florida, incoming president of the Life Care Planning Law Firms Association, and one of the leading voices in elder law and life care planning. What I appreciate about Shannon's approach is that she has never viewed elder law as simply preparing documents. Over the years, she has built a model that combines estate planning, Medicaid planning, elder law coordination, exploitation protection, healthcare advocacy, and long-term family support. As incoming president of the Life Care Planning Law Firms Association, she also spends a tremendous amount of time helping attorneys across the country understand how to implement these services responsibly and effectively inside their own firms. Many of you listening are estate planning attorneys. You probably have clients who eventually face long-term care concerns, Medicaid questions, special needs issues, guardianship concerns, financial exploitation, or family caregiving challenges. The reality is that many firms are closer to elder law than they realize. The challenge is confidence. Where do you start? How do you learn it? How do you avoid making mistakes? How do you build a firm that can actually support families through those situations? And that's what we're discussing today. Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason. It's so good to be here.
So I'm going to go straight into a question. So, One of the things I hear constantly from estate planning attorneys is, I've thought about getting into elder law, but it feels overwhelming. So as incoming president of Life Care Planning Law Firms Association, you're talking with attorneys around the country that are trying to solve this exact problem. When you hear that concern, what do you think they're actually afraid of?
Well, I can speak to this because this was me. This was what I did. So when I first started out in the area of civil work, so I started as a public defender, and then I moved into a big law firm and we did guardianship. What my job was guardianship and probate. I didn't even do the estate planning side. And when I went out on my own, I decided I needed to add something to guardianship and probate, because how could I do either one well if I didn't have that foundation of estate planning? So I went to the National Network of Estate Planning Attorneys and I did the boot camp and I learned all about estate planning. And my partner, Monica Brasington, and I rocked along with estate planning and continuing to do the education. We joined Wealth Council, and we started to kind of see that we were really missing the target of our senior planning clients who were asking us questions and we did not know the answers. And our planning documents did not address things that they truly needed, like personal services contracts or rental income producing property, or some of these tools that, as an example, your durable power of attorney must include in order for you to use your power of attorney to qualify for Medicaid. So it was really interesting how it developed. We really were doing really fine with an estate planning practice and doing guardianship and probate. There was really no need for us to change. But what we noticed ourselves was that we were not doing a good service to our clients who were older. And, I will say that I didn't really understand what the Medicaid side was, because I was so focused on the planning and, pretty dry planning. What's going to happen to the assets when you die? Okay, now you have a special needs client. You have someone who has a child with special needs. How do we kind of make sure that that special needs child continues to get services? And I hear so many estate planning attorneys say, well, I can't, I just send that out. I farm that out to someone who can do special needs planning. But wouldn't it be better if you knew how to do it yourself? Yeah. Because then what you're doing is you're actually serving that client and you're able to understand what they need and you're able to educate that client so that they really get a full service attorney. And so the same is true with Medicaid. As we get closer to the end of life, we realize 85% of people will become incapacitated before they die.
Yes.
85% of people will be unable to manage their finances before they die. So durable powers of attorney are essential. And if that durable power of attorney doesn't include that Medicaid planning, and you've got incapacity and you are going to need to get Medicaid for yourself because you're going to spend a year and a half in a nursing home before you die to the tune of $15,000 to $20,000 a month. And we're not talking about, the most poor people that qualify for Medicaid. We're talking about people who have significant resources, but don't want to spend $500,000 in that last, 6 months to to a year and a half of life. They don't have that. I mean,
No.
that spouse who's left behind will have nothing left if they have that spouse who's sick and we're doing private pay. So what we have learned in the Medicaid side and what, Monica and I really dove into was how do we be that for the special needs side? How do we do the Medicaid planning for couples and also for individuals? And it's not easy. I don't want to make it sound like it's an easy task because it wasn't easy for me. I had to get on the elder law section and go to all the education. I had to get a mentor. I had to get on the listserv and ask my questions. I had to do a deep dive. And NALA also helps with that. So wherever you are, whatever state you're in, NALA can be a great resource for educating you on the Medicaid side. But I would challenge your thinking, when you send those things out or when you just do a Medicaid trust, because that also is a strategy that we see quite often with estate planning attorneys who say, oh, no, I can do the Medicaid stuff. I can just put it in the Medicaid trust. Are you really knowing what other options are available aside from a Medicaid trust? And what if they don't get outside the 5-year look back, So, states are different. Every state is different. In the Life Care Planning Law Firm, which is a national organization, we know every state is different and you need to know your state. But honestly, it's not that hard. It's not.
Yeah.
Estate planning attorneys are so smart and they're so diligent and they're such hard workers. Adding this side is not that challenging in doing the education. And I will just say that once we did that, once my partner and I did that, now she went on to be a judge and God bless her.
Wow.
Right. So she, that was her calling and she did that. But we started to build, this really, truly elder law practice where when you came in the door, we could do your estate planning. We can do your Medicaid planning. We can deal with a guardianship if that's where we are. All of these things, we are a full service firm. And so the clients come to us and they know whatever comes up, we can give them a good education on their options. And we can probably help them through that process, no matter what it is. It provides a real a plethora of resources that you probably don't have if you're just narrowly focused on estate.
I love that. I love hearing all of this because I know, and including my elder law listeners as well, the attorneys, they're nodding their head to all of this too. And they're probably all reminiscing of, that realization that caused them to kind of go down this journey at their own practice. Walk me through that, that first week, if you can even remember it, you make this aha moment, you're thinking about doing this. What obviously everyone's they're afraid or a little concerned. What was going through your mind, Shannon, when you were going through all of this?
So what actually happened is I was in these organizations like Wealth Council, and I was in organizations like the National Network of Estate Planning Attorneys. And I had these colleagues who were also doing elder law. And I started to listen to how educated and knowledgeable they were and how much more they were able to provide to their clients with regard to options. And I did not have that book of options for my clients. And I started to feel like, I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Oh my God, I could never imagine those days.
I've got this durable power of attorney document, but it doesn't have a self-dealing provision in it. It doesn't talk about personal services contract. It doesn't do the things that they might actually need if one of them is in a car accident and they now need long-term care Medicaid. So I started to hear that feedback from my colleagues and I was like, oh, we really maybe need to start looking at this other, because we had just started, like we just took a deep dive in estate planning. So like, oh my gosh, we're going to have to add another layer. But then I went to an unprogram. Florida elder law attorneys does these unprograms once a year. And you get to be in a very small group, an intimate group with people. And it's really an exchange of information. And NALA does this across the whole US. So, whatever your state NALA is called, it really is great to go to these really small group discussions like an unprogram, because that's where you really get to ask like your stupidest questions and not feel like a fool. Like, how can one spouse be qualified and the other spouse not be qualified? Like, what does that even mean? So you get that like one-on-one kind of mentoring. And I met an attorney there. His name's Scott Solkoff. And his father, Jerry, was the grandfather of like elder law in Florida. And, he was just wrote this book. And, Scott sat me down and he was like, look, this is not that hard. Like you can do this. And he gave me the confidence in those one-on-one discussions of being like, yeah, this so helps people. You can take that couple and create an avenue for the spouse who survives to continue to live with their own money. It's like, what other benefit? Like, imagine how you feel as a lawyer when you're able to give someone that sense of safety and security that they don't have to go broke supporting their spouse because they didn't believe that he was going to have a stroke at 55 and she's going to live, another 20 years. And so, it's like that kind of stuff really impacted me at those really grassroots levels. So if you can get to those small group meetings, like unprogram, or even if you just attend some things online where you get an opportunity to kind of be in a small group, ask your really stupid questions, because we were all there. So in Florida, and this is true in a lot of states, we don't require spouses to pay for their spouse's care. So, it really is such a relief to people, especially because we have such age disparity. Do the planning now, get that power of attorney in place, make sure you stay with them. You want to stay with them and create that continuity of care, that comfort level with clients, knowing their names, they know you, creating that system of a practice that, outlives you, because I'm, 57 but I have two associates who are in their 20s, so like our firm is always going to be there, the clients benefit, the associates benefit. Everybody does well because we just have this beautiful rhythm that goes on.
For those that tell me, look, I know I'm well enough to know about the education. I can get educated, but the actual documentation and going through the Medicaid application process and going through that nuance and being concerned about what that looks like at my state level. How do you navigate that sometimes when that question pops up?
Coming in to a colleague, that's what we did, is we established relationships with local attorneys who are Medicaid planners. And I think unlike estate planning generally, there's like not competition among Medicaid planners. And the reason for that is because if we have more Medicaid planners in our community, everyone benefits.
Yes.
So like the more we talk about it, the more that people understand that there are other options rather than just spending all your money down. Yes. Everyone benefits. So like when I hear about a new estate planning attorney pop up, it doesn't bother me because I know that we're still not the same. They're probably going to send me people because they don't know those special needs and the Medicaid planning stuff. So they're probably going to send it to me. And I will foster those relationships. They're not a threat to me. But when another Medicaid planning attorney comes in, when an elder law attorney comes in, I still don't feel threatened by that. I want to know, what do they do? Like, what do they love about Medicaid? What can I send to them? And what can they send to me if there's conflicts? So It's not a threat to me. And you'll find the collegiality in Medicaid and in elder law in general is unusual in that people feel very willing to share forms with you. We have a resource bank through the elder law section. I mean, of the Florida bar, I don't know about your state, but usually you'll find that these types of attorneys, these elder law attorneys, are very collegial and willing to mentor. But the other thing about that is that, if you find a Medicaid planning person, and we're not talking about someone who is like competing with lawyers, but someone who does the application process. Like we use an outside application specialist to do all of our Medicaid applications. She does not practice law. She will not do anything. She doesn't do personal services contracts. She's not going to give you a power of attorney. She's not going to do a QIT for you. She'll send those people to us to do the legal work. But when we're doing the application, we bring her in to do that application for us because she's so good at it. And, we did that initially. And, we thought, oh, we're just going to use her for a little while and then we'll learn how to do it ourselves. We like it. We like having another set of eyes to look at things. She often raises red flags. She's like, hey, this doesn't look right. I think there's too much time in this personal services contract or whatever it is that's going on. She's very good at kind of helping us be an issue spotter. And, she's outside of us. So that may be another way for estate planning attorneys to feel a little more comfortable.
That I never even thought of, but I will ditto what you're saying in regards to just the camaraderie that exists within the elder law side versus the estate planning side. Like I love my estate planning clients and a lot of them listen to this and I love some of the ones that I do meet, but there is this sometimes a chase of a specific avatar. Like those I'm only chasing the ones that have a ton of wealth and I'm doing pretty well in life. I think a lot of people are doing pretty well in life. There's some nice people there, but then there are some other people that their money's just the focus of their life, right? And I think if you're just specifically chasing that avatar, you can probably find some nice people, and sometimes you probably won't find some nice people. But in this regard, I feel like you're working with just the average family that just truly cares about like their loved ones. Like every time I go to these CLE events or things of that nature, I've seen these attorneys just do a really good job of just like helping one another, help guide one another through like the complexities that exist in their state sometimes, the little nuances that you'll see. It's stuff that you just really don't see in the estate planning side as
I
much as you
know.
do in the
It's so
elder law side.
interesting. Yeah. And we do this lockup for advanced elder law attorneys where basically we kind of talk about like we're locking the door and we're shutting us all in, and it's only for practitioners who have been there 5 years or longer. And in that room, everybody shares their darkest, moments, and they also share their secrets. Well, this is how we did this, and this is how we did that. So it's like the camaraderie that, literally people, I have learned so much in those sessions about, really tricky issues that come up that you might not want to talk about on a public forum. What I think the majority of elder law attorneys do is we create that safe space for each other so that we can all do better. And I think you're right. There's a bit of a social worker aspect to being an elder law attorney. I'm not going to lie. Like you're going to hear the stories and you'll hear in our law firm, we actually have 5 avatars for our life care planning clients. And so it's funny that you use that word because like we track them down these 5 different avatars. One is like caregiver burnout. One is like a new chronic healthcare condition like Parkinson's. One is like out of state care providers. Like all of them. One is like, we're running out of money. One is like, it's a health problem that no one thought was going to, come up. And now all of a sudden can't bring them back home. What do we do? So yes, it's very much avatar based. There is a nuance to how to set up like a life care planning practice or a Medicaid planning practice together from intake to, death. Honestly, it is a nuanced process, but you learn it and then you love it. If you don't love old people, this is not the job for you. I'm sorry, Jason.
Right. Yeah.
but,
Old people are awesome. I love old
right?
people.
If you want to hear about interesting people, if you want to hear their life stories, you really feel like you're doing something powerful for people when you enter this field. Yeah.
That's why I love this vertical that I've been in. I have locked myself into this initially, but being involved in it for the last almost 4 years now, it's been honestly a blessing. Like to be able to truly get to work with attorneys that are working in this capacity with other individuals. It's amazing. And I think, while we're on that topic, let's get involved in life care planning because actually for a lot of, even for my elder law listeners and clients that listen as well, like they've heard of it, they know of it. I think the message is getting out there better and better and better. Like more and more people are hearing about it. But like, walk me through that.
Life care planning, the way we practice it is really 4 things. It's estate planning, it's Medicaid planning or long-term care planning. If you have a long-term care policy, we're going to help you use it appropriately. It is elder care coordination, which is healthcare advocacy. We'll talk about that after I finish explaining the fourth element, which is exploitation protection. We use the Careful app, we get everyone enrolled in it, and then we really do circle the wagons on our vulnerable people who either have been exploited, or we also use some tools in the trust-based planning to help protect people from exploitation. It's a clause that basically, if you start giving your money away, the successor trustee steps in, and then you stop being able to actually change your plan also. So
wow.
It's really cool.
Important.
It helps us when somebody is giving their money away because they've fallen victim to a delusion.
Yeah.
Or they're under the influence of someone who's exploiting them. So, it's really those four things, but the most important component to the life care planning model, and it lasts for a year. So someone comes in for a year and they stay with us during that year, and we get everything settled. We do an initial, review assessment, and that is with an elder care coordinator who's usually either a case manager. We have a case manager, we have a licensed private nurse, and then we have another case manager. So they're really social workers, but they've worked in this field so long, they know a lot about a lot. So they know about Medicare, they know about, which facilities are good, which facilities are not good. They know the, business office people at every facility. We know who the good caregivers are in community. We're going to connect them with you. We also know how to get you all the Medicare services. So that elder care coordinator component added to the lawyer stuff, right? So our job is to look at their estate planning, figure out if we can get them qualified for Medicaid. Is there a med waiver program that might be available, meaning Medicaid at home or Medicaid in an assisted living facility? Are there other services that we can get through Medicare? So, all of that comes together in one program. And I mean, the reality is people come to us because they meet one of those avatars. Also, the overexhausted caregiver avatar is one of our biggest. That person either went down or they're about to go down. And what can we do to create some sort of ability for that house of cards not to fold? And that's probably the most common one that we get. And so what we do is we just create this new process for them during that first year. Everyone signs up again for the next year because they love the help. They love to know they're going to pick up the phone and call, and they're going to get an attorney, or they're going to get an elder care coordinator. They're not going to get a bill. It's a flat fee for that first year. And then it significantly reduces down for the second year of services. So, people come into that program and it's life-changing. And the thing that we don't always talk about at the beginning, but it's so important, is death. We have a death talk that we offer to all our clients and their families. And sometimes they want the death talk separately. They want to know what's coming. They want to know what to expect. They want to know how to best support their person going through death. And we usually will create a death vigil plan that says, I want these people to be present. I want this music playing. I want my cats to be there with me. We create a plan for death. And then we help them understand why our person might not be seeking food and hydration at this point, and we explain how that's okay. Sometimes it can be more painful to, eat a bunch of food and hydration when you're at the end of your life. It can actually be more painful and cause more suffering. So just little bits of information like that can bring a level of peace and comfort to everybody.
I think even for us younger individuals that just have parents that are just in that demographic that are just getting a lot older as well, these are questions that I'm going to be facing. I had a scare with my father just recently, just thinking about him, essentially, and all that was just racing through my mind. I didn't know what all this entails. It was and so luckily nothing happened, doing great and everything of that nature. But yeah. Yeah, but I mean, all of us are getting closer to that topic, right? We all, it's the end of all of our narratives. Death is a thing, right? And having a provider that can just bring the peace to that topic, feel confident in being able to talk about it, and just know that they're going to walk you through those steps as well. Not just thinking about the financial aspects of what you're protecting, but also just like
Right.
that aspect of it. The real in it, right? I think that's
Yeah.
just the truth of it. It's just like you're diving
Yeah.
into the realness of like this topic with these individuals.
I mean, also, there is a financial side to this. Like, we can keep people with dementia alive for years if they have a healthy body,
Yeah.
But if they have said in advance, they don't want that. They don't want that. If they can't identify their people, if they, are not seeking food and hydration, their wish is for you to just let them, kind of let them not. You don't have to always put the fork to their mouth. It's not required. And like when I tell that to people, they go like, "Oh, they think that they need to feed this person who has no quality of life." And, no, we had this conversation with your mother before. She said, when I get to that point, I don't want you to force me. I don't want it,
Yeah.
And it's like, it's this relief of like, because otherwise you might think like, I'm killing them, I'm starving them.
Yeah.
No, the body knows how to die. And when the body is not hungry and it's not seeking food and hydration, it's the body is saying, it's painful to me to have that right now. What I'm
Yeah.
trying to do is die. Like my brain is not working anymore. It's
Yeah.
time for me to go. And it's okay. We knew what to do when we were born, and our body knows what to do when it dies. And so, it's hard because probably every estate planning attorney is like, oh my God, I never want to do that. I never want to do that. You don't have to.
Correct. Concerns of liability as a practice when you get involved in this, how do you address those that maybe bring up the liability side of it all?
Yeah, and that's an excellent question because we've been lawyers, we got this malpractice insurance. When you enter into like the and so that stays if you're talking about just regular elder law. So that's you're
Yeah.
good. But we do have this extra policy that we include when we have the elder care coordinators, um, errors and omissions insurance.
Yes.
So that ends up creating, and it's very easy to get and it's not very expensive. So, we've added that as a layer of coverage for these cases. But the liability that I think in particular, if you're coming from a estate planning world where it's like confidentiality is such a golden treasure, and then you're entering the world of diminished capacity, where a lot of the clients that you're working with may not have full capacity and they may be coming in with their son or daughter. Like you still need to meet with them by themselves. But then if they give you permission to share information with the family, you can do that. And it's really helpful to us to keep that continuity of care in place and keep everyone in the loop.
And the last question, which
Yeah.
is the opportunity for me to offer this as revenue wise to the practice, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
involved in this as business owners, right? We need to provide for ourselves, our staff, and everything that we
Yeah.
do. From that
We
angle, what would you say?
yeah.
Because as I
Yeah.
love when I listen to this, I think of the life cycle of someone, right? And so to me, I think, well, you're probably going to assumption, but I already know the answer to this. But like, the assumption is when you have a life cycle relationship with someone, there's a potential for additional revenue that you're not seeing if you're just a typical practicing estate planning attorney.
There is that, and just gonna like I want to pivot for a second because one of the
Yes.
reasons that we moved to the life care planning model instead of just Medicaid, instead of just guardianship, instead of just probate or trust administration is because we were putting out fires and there was no continuity for the client or their family. Their family didn't even know who we were. Like, they're like, we have no idea who you are, you people that are like doing all this planning for our mom. And it looks weird because you're giving all the money to the spouse. And, no, now it's like we have this continuity, this openness. Like, now everybody understands the Medicaid plan. They understand
Yes.
why we're impoverishing dad and putting money into mom's name. There's like this process now where we are not putting out fires. We are keeping people comfortable with less anxiety. So, is there a financial benefit to that? Absolutely. And the financial benefit to that is that your practice will grow in, revenue substantially. I can tell you when we started the life care planning model, the first year our profit, okay, this wasn't even our revenue. Our revenue grew tremendously from year 1 to year 2, and then in year 3 it jumped by like 43%.
Wow.
So, and we still do the other elder law stuff. A lot of life care planning firms only do life care planning. Our firm is full service. We still do probate. We still do guardianship. We love exploitation litigation. And it's something that Jenna and I feel very strongly about. And we want to get people's money back from exploiters. So like
Yes.
we stay with that because we love it. And we have the ability to do that because of the life care planning revenue. I will also say that we are expanding to target young families and try to create a product that is accessible online, that doesn't require a lot of time to sit and fill out forms and talk to an intake person. And again, it's just another way for us to create access to services that is missing right now in society. We know that 75% of people who have young children do not have any kind of estate plan. They have no named guardian for their children if they die. And that is unacceptable to me. We have got to change that. So we have to create a product that's going to work for people.
I also know that just the referrals that you typically get are probably a lot better in this regard than like your other practicing areas, like whether it's probate or estate planning. Like typically in elder law, you're probably also driving just both from industry partners in your space, but also just the families in general that you help as well.
Right.
Yeah.
If you provide good service, people talk about you, you know? And I guarantee for you, probably watching this podcast, you would be the only law firm providing life care planning because there just aren't that many of us. People aren't scared. And, the Life Care Planning Law Firm Association just started an academy so that we are going to take people through with cohorts. So it's cohort based. So it's like 10 to 15 other law firms that would be in this model with you, walking through like 6 months of training. And so that also can help you move into the life care planning model. And we don't teach Medicaid. We don't teach Medicaid. So you have to have the Medicaid to come into that. But once you like get yourself going on the Medicaid world, then, coming into the academy and doing that program for that 6-month time period will be huge to launch your practice.
I've loved this entire conversation, Shannon. We're like neighbors, technically. We're an hour and a half from one another. I am going to make the drive to Gainesville one day and just come hang out with you. Please, I need to.
Come on over. I'll take you to the nursing home. It'll be great.
I would love it. I would love to hang out with you and do that work. So I'm going to end a note on how do the listeners find you? Talk about your firm, talk about any other model, and please talk about the Life Care Planning Law Firms Association as well, please.
Yes. I mean, I would encourage you, look us up. LCPLFA dot, I think it's
org. I think.
Is it .org? Okay.
I think it's org. Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
But take a look there. You can also look at NALA, and I think it's NALA.org.
Yes.
Find out what your state's statewide organization looks like. The Academy of Florida Elder Law Attorneys is our small organization from NALA. So you can go to AFELA, AFELA.org to find out more about AFELA if you're in Florida, or just to look at it and see like what kind of stuff we've got going on in that organization. And then the Miller Elder Law Firm, we work pretty exclusively in our region, although we have done some statewide exploitation cases. We will consider those, but yeah, I mean, look us up. Follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. We do a lot of education on like death talks, and, I find us on YouTube, find us on LinkedIn, follow us. We are here to serve.
I know a lot of people in this space, so I can say this confidently for all my estate planning to be an estate planner, elder law attorneys, planning to get involved in elder law, planning on getting involved in life care planning. Shannon truly is like one of the coolest people to get to know. She has done a really great job of just like taking the time to do this today. Shannon, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Anytime,
Jason. We will hang out for sure. Yeah, great to see you again. And thank you guys so much for listening, and catch us later. Bye, everyone.
That's a wrap on another episode of the Elder Law Growth Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things marketing for elder law and estate planning law firms. Here you can find all of the tools and skills you need to market your own practice without wasting your time. If you like this podcast, please leave us a review wherever you're listening. And if you're ready to take the pressure off and let our team handle your marketing, visit Bambiz.net and book a free call with us today.